Just about ready to start here, folks. Those of you that are joining on YouTube will be, or those of you that are watching post-show on YouTube, will be starting in just a few seconds here. Making sure that no additional video cams are going to start. I think we're good. It's Monday, July 15th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuously running tech podcast. This is show number 874, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our July GoDaddy special, customers get 32% off an order at GoDaddy.com by using the promo code GO32OFF1 or .com for just $2.49. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. I hope you're ready. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. And yes, we're streaming this show for the very first time on YouTube tonight. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to be doing this for a few shows to see how it goes. Had a great response on our first new media show, and we did. It had lots of people coming in. Of course, it was a little earlier in the, basically in the evening, or actually in the morning. So it'll make a big difference here because it's already 8 p.m. here in Honolulu. Hey, folks, if you're new to the show, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for checking us out. We're coming to you as live as it can be. And we want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content on the website. Really, this is the place to come for tech news, information, science, and lots of shows. We do this show. We do the Gadget Professor, Robot Underpants, the new media show. And, of course, we've got our fantastic bloggers that are putting up new content every day. So definitely come over to geeknewscentral.com. Get your daily tech fix. And we're always looking for folks that are willing to do contribute articles to the website. So if you've got something to contribute, definitely send me an email here at geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can subscribe to the show real easily by coming to the second column of the website. You'll see a big orange box that says has audio, video, the special media events, everything listed there for you to get subscribed. And then there's a link at the top of the page where you can subscribe to the newsletter as well. Today, all the show notes for this show will be at gncshownotes.com/874. That's where we'll have all the links to all the content that I cover tonight. So definitely go over there and check that out. Again, I want to give a warm welcome to all of the Ohana. And for those of you that are outside of Hawaii or maybe new to the show, Ohana really means family. And we've got the Ohanasaurus back here, adaptly named, where we bring guests in via Skype on our new media show. But I want to give all the Ohana a warm welcome, and thanks for being here, and thanks for being part of the family. And if you're new, hey, you're just cozy right up, grab a beverage of choice, and kick back. We've got a lot of content to cover tonight, so we'll be with you here for a little over an hour, I think, based on the level of content that I pulled down. So get ready to get it fast and furious here in just a few minutes. But you can watch the show on the Tech Podcast channel on the Roku, and the Boxy, on the Samsung Smart TV, Google TV. Really, anywhere there's glass, you can watch or listen to this show. That's the most important thing. And again, getting subscribed is important. Of course, we're part of the Tech Podcast Network, a family of family-safe shows. Definitely get over there and check it out. Matter of fact, we're about ready to introduce a whole bevy of new shows to the network we've been reviewing and getting ready to invite those hosts on. So keep an eye out over there for fresh shows coming up. But I tell you, right now, this month is the month where you're going to get incredible, absolutely incredible savings over at GoDaddy.com. We want to thank GoDaddy for being a sponsor here at Geek News Central. And I tell you, we've got money to be saved. You are going to save a boatload of money. And all you really have to do is real easy. Come over to the website. You scroll down, and you're going to see the link to GoDaddy on the page. If I can actually get it to scroll, there we go. And you'll see the GoDaddy link. You just click on that. It takes you inboard into the website, and it gives you all the codes. Now, here's the deal for July. $2.49 for one new or transfer.com for the first year using the promo code GEEK249. 32% off your order at GoDaddy.com by using promo code GO, 32 off one. Or here's the best part. Get one new.com with a free, keywords free, year of private registration. That's the promo code FREE2. That's a $4 value. So here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a .com plus the private registration for $4. It's a huge, huge savings. I think if you were to buy that without any codes, it'd be $13 or $14 grand total price. So that free two is going to get you that private registration. You can keep your listing private from basically eyes that you may not want to see who's actually starting a .com. Of course, we got a lot of other codes there. Hosting codes. We've got money back on a certain amount of money spent. We got $12.99 SSL certificates. That is a huge savings for those of you that are looking to get a secure socket layer for your website. And, of course, we got .com renewals for $8.49 by using the promo code COMSALE3. Lots of percentages off. Definitely check it out at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. That's where you find all the deals here that I put up. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at the show. This is incredibly important. They help me keep the lights on, keep my family fed, keep car in the gas in the car, insurance paid, all that stuff. So your support of the sponsor is incredibly important, and we encourage you to move your domains, move your hosting over to GoDaddy. And if you've noticed, there's been a shift. There's been a shift in GoDaddy. There's been a management change. They've had some changes to the way they do things. I think for many of you, I think you'll like the direction that GoDaddy's headed from a variety of different levels. So definitely check it out. And, of course, if you're a sports fan, you know that they got an IndyCar and a NASCAR that they're sponsoring this year as well. And, matter of fact, the person that initially introduced me to GoDaddy to bring on as a sponsor, Chris, and I probably shouldn't say her last name on the air here, but Chris is basically kind of in charge of the Indy and the NASCAR sponsorship stuff. So went from basically managing podcast campaigns all the way up to managing the NASCAR stuff. So congratulations to Chris. Okay, so what's going on here? Hey, what I want you to do is don't forget you can reach out to me real easy via Twitter at Geek News. You can reach me via email at geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, you can call the hotline at 619-342-7365. That's where you can call in and basically yell at me, make a comment, do whatever you want, and we will play it here on the air at the very end of the show. Of course, emails come in, and we read virtually all emails unless you tell me not to. If I ever miss one of your emails, make sure you resend it to me. I definitely get a boatload of not only personal but business email and stuff for the show, so it all gets intermixed together. But geeknews@gmail.com is a place to go. But thanks for all of you for being here and watching or listening to the show tonight. One thing I want to do is I want to put up a contest. And one thing that we haven't done is the graphic for this show, the lower third. For those of you that are been watching the show for a while, you'll know that our lower third is kind of, I guess for a better word, gotten stale. And I'll provide any type of logo work that you need. But if you want to create me a real super jazzy, cool lower third, it's got to be set up for 1920 by 1080. Basically, it has to be 1920 by 10. Well, it has to fit in that pixel range, right? Has to be a transparent PNG is what you have to provide to me. And I can provide you any additional actual specs of the actual size of the lower third. All you got to do is email me here at geeknews@gmail.com and put lower third. And we'll give a nice little cash prize to the best design on the next show. So I hope that you will get some support. And if we don't, this may take a couple of iterations. but it depends on the response whether or not we award it this show, the next show, or the following Monday show. So I'll just keep you advised. Also, the new media show, we had a great event on Saturday, and I tell you, just every time I have a luminary in the new media space on, whether it be from a YouTube talent, whether it be a podcast network, whether it be someone that's just completely separated from the space, I learn a lot. I really do. And I'm getting emails back from people that are basically saying this show is the go-to show for people that are creating content. So if you are a content creator, you know someone that's a content creator, we want to encourage you to subscribe to the new media show feed and basically stay abreast of what's going on. And we have lots of great guests. Rob Greenlee, my co-host, he's been doing a great job in getting a fantastic guest in and working with everyone's schedules. It can be very challenging at times, and that's why sometimes we record on Saturday and sometimes we record on Sunday. We just have to be a little bit flexible to our guest. But for you guys, we'll try to let you know far enough in advance if it's on Saturday or Sunday. I apologize this past week because we thought we were doing it on Saturday and it got moved, and I had actually moved it to Sunday. It was my total bust. But I got up Saturday morning at 5 a.m., had the studio ready to go at 6. I called Rob. I said, "Where are you?" He said, "Dude, we're not doing this tomorrow, remember?" And I was like, S. And so I stayed up and I made a promo for YouTube and did some other stuff, but it was good. So let's just catch up real quick here. Had an interesting experience with glass on Saturday. Loaded the family up. We went to the beach. White Plains Beach is relatively close to my house here, maybe 10 minutes. And we have a mini Weber grill, and they've got a little area set up where people can put tents up and basically a place where you can barbecue. And they've got a hot coals pit afterwards. You can dump them in so that you're not causing a fire hazard or anything. But anyway, we were late to get into the beach, so we kind of got the last area that was really kind of available on the grass. And right next to us was a birthday party going on, and there was probably 50, I would say 12-year-olds to 15-year-old girls having a blast with their friend that was having this humongous birthday parties. And here I am wearing Google Glass. Okay, now we're here, and 5 to 10 feet away is this. All these teenagers running around in bikinis and everything else. And I'm sitting here, the middle-aged guy with Google Glass on, feeling kind of conspicuous. Now, I wore glass to the beach with a specific thought process of basically taking some stuff from my kids, playing in the water and digging stuff in the sand, like stuff kids do when they go to the beach. It didn't take too long, about 20 minutes, and I was afraid. And no one said anything. No one looked at me kind of funny. But I just got to the point where I was self-conscious enough about it. And the glass wasn't on. I wasn't recording no video. I took them off and put them in a bag because really I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable if they noticed I was doing it. Plus, I didn't want to have a situation come up where a parent would say, a father would come and say, "Are you filming?" Not knowing maybe the full dynamics of what to record something. So I bailed right at that point. And when their party died down about 3 hours later, and the most of them had left, I retook and put glasses back on and did some of the stuff I wanted to do. But it's some of those etiquette things I'm learning with glass, that just there's appropriate places to wear and have glass. And I don't know if beach is one of those, even though it worked out fantastic for the stuff that I did shoot and the pictures and stuff that I got, and, mess around with my wife and all this stuff was good. But really kind of those early, that whole group, and I think it really made me uncomfortable. Well, it wasn't uncomfortable, but there was a bunch of teenagers having a party, but it was just uncomfortable thinking that if someone misconstrued that I was recording, it could really turn into ugly situation. So it was probably a good health and welfare thing for me to stop. So just learning as we go here where glasses are, and I find myself being this big ambassador for glass, and so I'm building this rapport, like this 2-minute pitch to tell people the plus and minuses about it as I'm going around. So enough about that on glass. Today I was on Hawaii Public Radio on a show called Bite Marks Cafe. It was recorded. It's going to be released on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And I was in with another, and I think the first person that arrived in Hawaii with glass. I think I was actually the second now. So Him and I were on, and along with another gentleman talking about ingress, Paul Lauer, and was with Ryan Ozawa. Many of you remember Ryan if you've been listening to podcasts for a long time. Ryan used to do the Lost podcast, and another guy here, Bert Loom, that is a luminary here in Hawaii. So I had a really great 1 hour radio appearance today. So that was kind of cool. And but anyway, I'll get you guys a link to the Bite Marks Cafe show. I might even link it up in the special media feed so that you guys can subscribe to it and listen to it when it comes out on Wednesday. I did get a little Ingress play in on Sunday and had a little fun with that. But this afternoon when I got home, I had a big yellow envelope sitting on my desk from the Veterans Administration. And in those of you guys know, I've had my claim in for my service-related stuff for quite a while. And I opened it up, and let me just tell you something, folks. I'm, for a better word, not happy. I've seen individuals who, well, let's just put it this way. My back injury, which was very substantial, which still today gives me major issues with sciatica and everything else, they hardly gave me any disability on it whatsoever. Now, when I say disability, it's not really a disability. It's a rating. It's a VA rating. And all my other claims, like 8 other things that we claimed, they denied. So the battle starts for going to war and to go through the process to do what I can to have the VA relook. I don't understand the whole process. I don't. I hear these guys get 90%, 80%, 70%. And I'm not claiming to be disabled, but I think that the percentage that came back to me was completely inadequate, and it's just some disparity in that whole system. I really just don't understand. If any of you have experience with VA or know someone that can help me out here, let me know. I'd appreciate it. But it's my wife is just sitting here with her mouth drawn half open because she just can't believe it either. So anyway, it isn't here nor there. So we'll see. And this is one of the things we're having a problem in this country with right now is the Veterans Administration is woefully behind and being woefully inadequate in some of the things they do. And I really, at this point, I'm not happy with the end results. I'm sure I've got years of battle with them from here on out. So we'll see where it goes. I digress. I apologize. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the tech. Let's get into something a little more positive. And I got a lot of news to get into tonight. As you would suspect, there's lots of stuff in the space that's been going on. But I wanted to start off with this story here. Apple has been sued for an individual's adult media addiction. Chris Seaver, a 36-year-old from Tennessee, got so addicted to adult content that his wife took his children and left him. And now he sued Apple, saying that the company failed to install any filter in its devices to prevent his addiction. Seaver calls Apple a silent poisoner responsible for proliferation of arousal addiction. And so Seaver is seeking damages from Apple, but said he will drop the lawsuit if Apple agrees to sell devices with a safe mode. You're a 36-year-old grown man, and you're going to sue Apple because you could not restrain yourself from watching adult material, and now you're going to blame it on Apple? Wow. It just goes, hey, there's a lawyer out there that will take a case, any case. Oh, amazing. But on another note, the New York Times has a profile of, they basically profiled one of the world's worst patent trolls. And this gentleman, if you want to call him that, I don't know if you want to, this troll, Eric Spangenberg, has been covered by the New York Times a few times and covered by Tech Dirt or some other people as well. But apparently this guy got a pretty good butt whipping by a court here recently. But because his name was so much in the news, any company that had a bunch of patents they wanted to start trolling basically started calling him. So basically, this guy has went and picked up companies like, now check this out, Radio Shack has contracted with him, Bridgestone, the tire manufacturer. There's an ongoing list of companies, and he went from a company of 5 employees to 80. And you think about the overhead to support 80 employees, and specifically, most of them are patent specialists, and they're managing 10,000 patents, doing nothing but trolling for cash. And one of the companies that contracted with him, they gave him a huge testimonial. He said, our company was on the verge of bankruptcy, and we had $1 million in debt. And he basically saved our company. The reason that company failed is because they had a failed business plan and a failed business. Yet he was able to take those patents and basically, for a better word, in my opinion, extort cash out of a variety of different companies that they thought were using those. Now, he has a 14,000 square foot home in Dallas. Oh, and I guess he's selling that. So maybe business isn't that good. Or maybe it's because of this $3.8 million he had to pay by another by another company. But he's got all kinds of cars. He's got a Ferrari, Lamborghini. So this guy's not eating off paper plates by any means. But again, here we have another patent troll, and just goes to show you the type of money these guys are sucking out of the economy, out of companies that are already struggling to make it. Now, speaking of another troll, the Prenda case and its eventual appeal is going to be an interesting one. But apparently, the Ninth Circuit Court has rejected Team Prenda's attempt to reduce the bond amount. We talked about that already. And they've appealed that, and it's going to a 3-panel judge. And one of the judges that are that's going to be on that panel, his name is Judge Alex Kaczynski. And he's one of the most well-known and entertaining judges on the bench today. And we've talked about him before. And while, some of the stuff that he's covered has been kind of controversial, he's definitely entertaining in his write-ups, but he's also kind of like Otis Wright in that he, for a better word, is very thorough, doesn't let a stone go unturned. So I am sure that when this ruling, this appeal ruling comes down for this $200 and some thousand they're having to pay, could end up being pretty impressive. It should be good reading. So we'll keep you advised on that and let you know, and we'll report on it when it comes up. Now, many of you moms out there, and maybe even dads, you go through a stage in life where you get enough bambinos or kids on the ground. What you want to do is get a minivan, right? Well, minivans aren't known to be very sporty or to run, a 6.0 in a quarter mile or anything like that. But there's now the world's fastest minivan. It's basically a 150-mile-per-hour minivan, and basically the Ford Transit Supervan has been supercharged, and they have done some pretty crazy stuff. The company that souped this thing up put a 650-horsepower beast inside this thing, and they had a top speed of 150 miles per hour, and they had a lot of fun with it. So the driver of this, British Touring Car Championship driver Anthony Reid, said over the last 20 years of racing cars, Ford Supervan 3 is by far the craziest vehicle I've ever driven, Reid said after running the Supervan up the Earl of March driveway. He says it's ludicrously loud, incredibly quick, and since the seating position is the same as the normal Transit, it's like driving a gunpowder keg on top of a flagpole. So the YouTube video will be quite entertaining. I'll have that link up in the show notes for you. Switching to more of a technical topic, Elon Musk thinks he can get you from New York to Los Angeles in 45 minutes aboard a 4,500-mile-per-hour, basically super bullet train. And it's called the Hyperloop. It's similar to the old school phonetic tube systems used by banks to suck your deposit to the teller at the drive-through. But it's basically you get in this car and you enter an actual vacuum, and then they use um, kind of a railgun technology to fire you down the track to get you to your next destination. And this is pretty incredible because, he basically looked at California's new high-speed rail project and realized that the $70 billion that they're spending is going to result in the most expensive and slow train system on the planet. And he feels that there's a better solution called the Hyperloop. So he's working with a company called ET3, a company that's based in Longmont, Colorado. And it's working on what's called the Evacuated Tube Transport, ETT system, which is described as space travel on Earth. But you'll get in a 400-pound passenger car. And basically, up to a 6-person passenger car, and you're accelerated by linear electric motors. And they feel that if you're doing international trips, you can hit around 4,000 miles per hour. But if you're doing like a coastal run, 370 miles per hour. And of course, I'm sure that's going to be a very inexpensive trip and very cheap system to build. But anyway, this is what they're talking about. So he's really going off the deep edge and talking about having a train that can do 4,000 miles per hour. Wow. Over on Wired, talking about a new satellite producing beautiful global vegetation map. And a Belgian-built satellite called the Propa-V is the latest European Space Agency series of small satellites. And it's taking over monitoring vegetation duties. Basically, this is kind of a stopgap while they're getting their next satellite ready to go. And I didn't just realize how many of these imaging satellites were up there. But this coming Saturday, I think, NASA's Cassini probe is going to photograph the Earth again from Saturn, of course. So if you want to wave, please do so. And again, it's going to happen on Friday, July 19th. And of course, we're going to show up on the picture about the size of a pinhead, not necessarily the type of Earth picture that is awe-inspiring, but at least it gives you a perspective on how far out we are. Hey, Mars rover's Curiosity is shifting into high gear. They traveled 135 feet on July 4th, so making some tracks. I think slugs move faster than that. But anyway, it's a whopping top speed. But getting into something a little more serious, Bill Gates gave a speech, and he says the college lecture is dead. But yet, something like the Microsoft Bob, which those of you remember was a virtual assistant, is not. But according to Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates, he says that the internet has grown to a certain point, that the implication that students will use the internet to begin learning online from major brands like MIT or the University of California, transforming the lecture from a live performance into something like the music industry, where most music is consumed in pre-recorded form. Gates also said that the notion of a personal assistant, which Microsoft originally called Microsoft Bob, isn't dead yet by any shots. We know that Steve Ballmer hinted as much last week when his vision statement for the company's key product talked about anticipating user needs with a product that really sounded a lot like Google Now. Now, when he was at this Microsoft Research Facility Summit, and I think I have a tendency to agree with him, but I get so many people that are academics that listen to the show that every time I talk about this virtual training and learning and education, I think they're scared of it because they're always saying, "Oh, that's never, online education's never, ever going to replace a traditional four-year college." I think for doctors, probably true. I think for certain other professions, you probably need to be there and really get that hands-on in the lab work and everything else that goes along with the profession. But at the same time, I think some degree paths, education degrees, maybe, those types of things, different types of social programs as well, social degrees, could completely move online. And the problem is that the universities are so vested in, their infrastructure. and the money that's coming in and endowments and everything else that these big institutions, which charge students huge amounts of money, have this, have this ability to suppress, this digital learning. Now, at the and I apologize, I forget the gentleman's first name that was with us on Bite Marks Cafe today on Hawaii Public Radio. But he said that he feels that products like Google Glass and so forth are also going to be very transforming of education, and that people are going to be able to go online, and I think they already are, being able to find information and learn. But how do you quantify someone when they're saying you don't get a degree in the internet, you get a degree from a university, and until more companies start to recognize that people can get an education online, as long as it can be documented and traced, and you can have some sort of curriculum history. Yeah, I think most people that are basically HR departments and stuff like that, there's got to be this shift at some point. And if you work in HR, I'd really love to hear from some HR folks, because we've never had very many HR folks that have piped in on the show. Are companies that, or if you are working within a company, are your HR folks looking at non-traditionally trained students? I think in the programming world, that's always been the case. If you can program, you don't necessarily need a degree. You just got to come in and show your skills. But it's still a computer degree. It probably still has a lot more weight than someone that's just walking off the street. But I'd really like to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Now, of course, Gates has been a proponent of using technology to solve the world's problems, and solutions like online education, such as those as offered by the Khan Academy, And of course, Gates noted, however, the problem facing impoverished nations throughout the globe often extended in several different areas, with the average IQ in sub-Saharan Africa is 82. He says that's not genetics, that's disease. And it's not necessarily that it's just because they haven't been trained and they haven't been exposed to a good education system. So I don't know. I'm so pro on this online education stuff. I don't know. How long is it going to take before we can make the shift? I'd really love to hear from you guys' some feedback on this, on where you think it's going to be. Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? How long is it going to take us to get to the point where an online education by some third party that is quantified and scored and some sort of certificate issued, because I don't think we're going to get a lot of the universities offering a lot of degrees online, but they're still going to want all that money. And what I'm talking about is not giving anybody any money, a minimal amount, not a $180,000 education. I'm talking, you go online, you take a course, and the course is freely available, and you take a test, and you get basically credit for that, kind of like a CLEP exam, right? So anyway, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. This topic comes to mind from time to time on different articles that I see, and boy, I just wish it would move a lot faster than it has. GigaOM has a list of the companies accepted in the first Google for Entrepreneurs program. Google's effort to cultivate startups across the globe, called Google for Entrepreneurs, inviting 8 startups to co-work in Silicon Valley for 2 weeks. So the program is going to enable those leaders of the companies to live and work together in the Black Box Mansion, a large house near Palo Alto. And the startup executive will learn how to pitch their project to a global audience, hear tips from founders and starting businesses, and even get FaceTime with influential VCs. Google has picked the companies from the program. This is pretty cool. So the first company is called Impress, and they're out of Tel Aviv. And it's a father-son team developed Impress, which is an economic touchscreen keyboard that relies on a series of specific gestures to type on a tablet. They picked Melusin out of France, and basically they've done a project management app. Avocarrot out of UK. Avocarrot serves mobile app ads that monitors engagement and offers targeted rewards to users. Exotech from Poland It's developed for those who suffer with MS and other muscle atrophy conditions. So they basically are offering muscle conditioning for physical therapy and recovery programs. It's a robotic system. IDIS Labs out of Pakistan. This is a Pakistani startup that's produced a product called Grufik. It's a mobile application that automatically inserts the photographer into a photo he or she is taking by combining two separate photos. Tuna Code out of Pakistan. It's aimed at code hackers and developers. It enables programmers to offer accelerated image and video processing for websites. Instabug out of Egypt. Instabug offers developers a bug reporting app for mobile software that's in beta that swaps out traditional email-based bug reports for a screenshot-based platform. And then finally, My Door Handle in South Africa, focused on My Door Handle is a mobile app that enables users within urban areas to show others where a home, workplace, or other landmark is by dropping and adding and sending pins. Kind of sounds like Ingress a little bit, but minus the game. So pretty cool on this Google for Entrepreneurs programs, mostly international companies. Actually, it is. All those companies are outside the United States, so pretty cool stuff that they're doing with this. And nice to see Google is embracing and helping entrepreneurs around the world. An article over on Telegraph at telegraph.co.uk talks about glass, not Google Glass, but just regular old glass. And glass is allowing scientists to recreate Superman's memory crystals. So what's basically going on? Researchers at the University of Southampton managed to use lasers to record and retrieve data from pieces of glass. They claim it could allow up to 360 terabytes, equivalent of 580,000 CDs, to be stored on a single piece of glass the size of a standard CD. The process uses a laser to reorder the atoms in the crystal structure of the glass. The size and orientation of the tiny structures the laser creates adds extra information in addition to their location. And those structures change the way light passes through the glass, meaning it can be read back. So they're saying this is a way where we can store a huge amount of data. So this is kind of interesting. Now, we know glass is stable and heat resistant up to about 1,000 degrees Celsius or 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a way where stuff could be kept safe for very long times in archives. I guess as long as it's packaged right and there's no earthquakes or nothing falls on it. But this professor says that they're developing a very stable and safe form of portable memory, which could be highly used for organizations with big archives. So very cool stuff. But will this ever reach the enterprise? I don't know. But 360 terabytes on a single piece of glass the size of a CD? We're getting somewhere now. That's huge. All right, for you Android users, Google has revamped the interface to its Google Play Store, bringing the Android version to the web. So they revealed their new revamped web interface. This release is being unveiled to everyone. And with the new design, users are going to find it a lot simpler to understand what an app is about. What's more, if you look at the details of a specific app, you notice that the screenshots have been enlarged. And looking at the store, user will see that it takes up the entire screen with all information listed on the single page. No more tab pages. So very cool stuff here. So this came off nextweb.com. How many of you have got the app IMDb? If you've got that app on your phone, IMDb updates Android and iOS apps, lets you, those of us in the U.S., buy movie tickets directly. That's kind of funny here because they run it through Fandango, and when I travel, and I'm going to go see a movie, man, I'm a big Fandango fan. That's how I order movie tickets. Tells me where the closest movie theater is when oftentimes I don't know, but I'm not really familiar with this IMDb, so I'm going to have to check this app out. But we know, basically the article talks about, and of course this is from Engadget, that IMDb is, we're bringing HD quality movie trailers to the app. So this will let you really watch a trailer, then bounce to picking up a ticket to see it. Intel's Thunderbolt remains a high-end rarity. Acer's dropped out, and Acer decides USB 3.0 is a better deal than Intel's high-speed communication technology. And despite notable newer fans, including Dell, HP, and Asus, Thunderbolt remains scarce. And I have to admit, USB 3.0 is pretty compelling. But, Thunderbolt lets devices be daisy-chained. And as long as each link has dual Thunderbolt ports and a display port, you can have a single computer with, basically a large number of devices on it. I think up to 7. And, huge data speeds, of course. But we will see where this leads. But very few choices in the Thunderbolt arena when it comes to PCs. And they're often much, much higher cost. Now, they've got let's see if I can bring this up for you guys that are watching. They've got a list of Intel-based Thunderbolt devices in this article over on CNET. And let me see if it's actually, will this blow up when I click on it? The page isn't fully loading. It didn't blow up. So see if I can go through these. The WDHD looks like mostly stuff from Blackmagic. Let's see. You've got a variety of different hard drives, but basically it's a small offering from just a small number of companies. Again, Lacey, Matrox, Blackmagic. Of course, I use a lot of Blackmagic stuff. Aja, which is a great company for those of you creating content. But anyway, very limited on Thunderbolt. Of course, the Mac is hardcore on Thunderbolt, but very, very limited on the PC side. All right, article on BBC. I'm not necessarily a big J.K. Rowling fan. I've never read any of her books, but she apparently has written a new book called The Cuckoo's Calling, and she did it under a anonymous name. Wrote under a pseudonym, and someone was trying to figure out who actually wrote this, and they did some word analysis, and this professor was able to deduct through basically some logarithms he's come up with who the actual writer was, and basically at this point she's been outed as the writer of this mystery story. So I'm sure the book got an immediate bounce, but I guess I don't fully understand why an author. I guess they're trying to test a new genre and see if they can make it in that new genre. But if you're a writer, you're a writer. As long as you got a great imagination, I can't imagine not being successful from one genre to the other. But the Sunday Times basically was the ones that was suspicious on this, and basically passed this date off to the professor, and he was the one that made the determination that she was the most likely writer. Now, this 3D printing thing is really pretty incredible, and when we were at Ford, we got to visit their 3D printing lab and spent about hour and a half. I got to see some stuff that was being printed on some commercial 3D printers, got to see some mock-ups, and what they're really doing with this 3D printing is pretty incredible. In the specific instance at Ford, they were making certain parts, and they were mocking them up and then changing the design, and then they would go take that final part, that final 3D rendering, and then they would basically make it into a molded injection, basically a plastic molded injection mold, and then that would be used to make the masters. But NASA is testing 3D printing on a rocket engine fuel injector. Now, what's really incredible about this is the part that is used to deliver liquid oxygen and hydrogen gas to an engine's combustion chamber is one of the most expensive things that are really part of a rocket engine. And they take about a year to be designed. Now, what's really cool about this is NASA said that the component would normally have taken a year to make because of the exact measurements involved, but by using what a 3D printing process called SLM, the manufacturing time was cut to less than 4 months, and it reduced the price by 70%. Now, the technique involved turning a computer-designed object into a real-world part, controlling it. And what they did is they took high-powered laser beams, which melts and fuses thin layers of metallic powder into the preordained shape. At Whoa. This is pretty cool. Now, NASA's basically saying that they recognize on Earth and potentially in space, additive manufacturing can be game-changing for new mission opportunities in significantly reducing production time and cost by printing tools. So this is basically printing engine parts or even entire spacecraft. SLM is not the only unusual manufacturing technique being explored by NASA. The agency also asked researchers at Washington State University whether it would be possible to 3D print objects out of a powder made from lunar rocks. Oh. And it's also testing a process called electron beam freeform fabrication, EBF3, which uses a computer-controlled electron beam gun placed in a vacuum that welds metal wires into complex shapes and patterns. It's suggested that the process could be used by astronauts to make spare parts in space. Wow. This is just pretty cool stuff. Using this function called, let me get to it again, SLM, and they're using high-powered laser beams, which melt and fuse thin layers of metallic. I'd love to see this in action. We got to find a video on this SLM process and see how this works. So we're going to have to do a little Googling and some YouTubing of it to see if we can find something. But I would have never imagined that you would use a laser to mold and print a part. That to me is just blows my mind a little bit. And definitely going to be digging into this a lot deeper. This 3D printing is going to completely revolutionize how things are done. And it already is. It's just making things... we're going to see a lot more of this type of stuff. There's another article on BBC talking about a leaked letter shows ISPs and government at war in the UK. And but basically, the letter was basically sent from the Department of Education. It sets out a list of demands from Downing Street with a stated aim of allowing the Prime Minister to make an announcement shortly. The companies were asked, among other things, for a commitment to fund an awareness campaign for parents. Now, here you got the government asking the ISPs to fund an awareness campaign for parents. Basically, they want them to describe how to make net safety filters. Basically, they're wanting the ISPs to turn on net safety filters by default, and so they're asking the ISPs to do a whole bunch of stuff that just is being pretty incredible. One of the ISPs told the BBC that the request was staggering, asking us to market active choice as a default on is both misleading and potentially harmful. And basically, the government's just basically trying to dictate to these ISPs how their business is run. Sound familiar? But it's all about a safety campaign. And there's a pretty significant list of demands made by the Department of Education sent to these ISPs. Implementing browser intercept, age verification system, closed loop, awareness campaigns for parents, using the phrase default on instead of active choice, and on and on and on. And they wanted this turned around in just a couple of days. So government demanding private business to do stuff, I think, can be pretty scary. And just like all of a sudden the government calls, hey, I want you to run an ad in a newspaper. Huh? Why? Because I told you so. That to me doesn't sound like anything that I want to have to be involved with. And especially, I'd have to tell the government to pack sand in a nice way. There's a article over on polyzeros.com talking about Fukushima, and this is pretty good and pretty scary. And I don't know where all the facts for all these numbers come from, but the amount of radiation still leaking into the Pacific Ocean looks to be considerable, and radiation levels are continuing to go up in fish throughout the Pacific. So I'll have the link up in the show notes for you if you're interested in this kind of stuff. It's a pretty good read, but again, it's at polyzeros.com. The folks from Pebble they're being covered on Bloomberg Business Week. Kind of weird, 2 shows in a row we're talking about Pebble. But and I tell you what, I am really I am really impressed. I've said this 2 or 3 times already. I'm really, really impressed with the folks over at Bloomberg Business Week, and especially their technology section. If you are not subscribed to their feeds, please do, because they are writing for me, some of the most clear, concise, and really smart articles in the space today. But this one talks about Pebble and some of the challenges they've had and the incredible growth that they've had. And basically, it talks about, instead of being a software company, being a hardware company and how hard it is and everything. And some of the politics have gone along with venture capital money coming in and the deal with Best Buy and so forth. But essentially what it is they need to ship more watches in a hurry. And but they've got a lot of people waiting that should have got watches already that have not. But the main thing here is this really, in the end, they're congratulating Pebble from being able to do what they've done so far. And really, this was a long shot from 2 guys that started with an idea in May of last year. So a lot of movement on the front by Pebble. A good write-up on Bloomberg Business Week. Of course, all these links for all these articles will be up in the GNC show notes at gncshownotes.com. With the summer temperatures rising, data center heat's going up, and basically they're hitting their upper limits in temperature. And but basically that means that these data centers are going to be using a lot more energy to keep the gear cool. And but anyway, surveys done across the nation are showing that many of these data centers are having some challenges in keeping things cool, and also that the cost of really that summertime has got to be an incredibly expensive time for them, especially with the heat the way it is sometimes. All right, the European Space Agency is funding a space penetrator, a science missile to bombard planets and moons. Any of you that have read any science fiction type of books, especially space type books, space exploration, space fantasy, those types of genres, will know that a popular weapon used in these science fiction books is basically a foreign species, basically an ET. Basically taking planets out by nothing more than a very high-speed projectile, whether it be a rock or something else. It doesn't have to be big, but this is super high-speed. Anything that comes at you fast enough is going to cause it's worse than a nuke. It's basically has that forward momentum. They talk about in these science fiction books about how that's accomplished and the type of speeds that they need to achieve to be able to make some really significant damage on a planet surface. But the ESA is funding a space penetrator. Basically, they are looking a way to launch essentially a shell and use the vacuum of space to allow it to travel unimpeded with under its own power in order to get to a planet and then be able to impact and to open up and basically deploy a science package. And we're not talking about coming in for a soft landing. We're talking about hitting the surface at a pretty high speed. And so they've been working for 10 years to come up with something that will do this, and they're getting close. Currently, the system is designed to be shot from Earth directly to a target. Oh, it isn't being designed to be shot from Earth directly to target, but launched from a satellite or ship. Oh, I guess, okay, a ship would be in space or on the planet. But anyway, in order to test the impact, the steel missile-like penetrator was fired directly into a 10-ton block of ice. The block was blasted into powder, but the penetrator casing, along with the instrument inside, remained intact. The missile traveled at 340 meters per second, just under the speed of sound. But thanks to onboard sensors, the test impact will provide the developers of the missile of the rapid space technologies with more information than simply how to destroy a block of ice. Now, this could also be used, if you think about it, if you get good enough at this and you can get something at a high enough, you can take out asteroids and all kinds of other stuff, but you got to get the speed much, much higher than 340 meters per second. It's got to be many magnitudes higher to really cause a type of bang you need to do damage on something. But they're on the right track. Time will tell. But I can't imagine shooting something from space and then having impact a planet some months later, and then basically being able to open up and call home to mama. There's a good article over in Extreme Talk talking about solar storms and doing some comparisons to the storm that happened in 1859 as what could happen today, and talking about if the equivalent of a solar storm that happened in 1859 would happen today, there could be about $2.6 trillion in economic impact, and a lot of our electronic devices would basically be done. So this is an interesting read here, but they feel that in order to protect the electrical system, that they would have to have transformers that would cost $5 to $7 million a piece, that would basically be able to sustain an EMP from the sun, from a mass coronal ejection. So interesting move here. Kind of makes you go, oh my goodness, let's just hope nothing points our way and blast us anytime soon. Appears Apple's pitching ad skipping for new TV service. This is a new trick up their sleeve, according to the folks over at jessicalesson.com. But basically, for more than a year, Apple's been seeking rights from cable companies and television networks for a service that will allow users to watch live and on-demand television and over an Apple set-top box or TV. They say talks have been slow, but in recent discussions, Apple told media executives it wants to offer a premium version of the service that allow users to skip ads and would compensate television networks for the lost revenue. Well, we're already doing that. We don't have to pay anybody for it. It'd have to be pretty compelling there, Apple. Okay, Neptune has a few more tricks up its sleeves. NASA and SETI discovered a new Neptune moon. It's one that Voyager missed. So, boy, oh boy, there was already 12 moons that were rotating or orbiting Neptune, and we've bumped that to 14. And this was basically 150 photos that were taken by Hubble telescope between 2004, 2009. Looking through that, they were able to detect that there was two more moons basically circling Neptune. Tired of your Yahoo username? Yahoo has launched a wish list for requesting inactive usernames. So if you're itching to shed that old embarrassing Yahoo username in favor of something a little more age-appropriate, basically Yahoo has just opened up a wish list to request inactive usernames. You can plug in your 5 requests in order of preference by August 7th, and if you're the first in line for an account that hasn't been used in over a year, it will be yours by the middle of the month. So if you got a Yahoo account that you haven't been on for a while, get on there and use it, or you might lose it. So, so they're working on some things to make this transfer go smoothly, and setting up some security precautions as well. Article from Engadget talks about how the U.S. government is going to declassify Yahoo legal docs on FISA. Basically, apparently Yahoo's been fighting since 2008. And basically, they're going to get some of their filings back, and we'll see, or some of the filings that were made in that case, and they're going to be redacted, of course. Probably a lot of black ink on these pages, and we'll see just how much. But this is a big. Of course, this follows a win by the EFF as well. Google and Microsoft also agreed to U.S. guidelines for finding ads on pirate sites, and but anyway, they've come up with a set of guidelines. It allows ad network operators to basically either warn customers or kick them out of ad programs if found to be dealing primarily in ill-gotten goods. And, of course, the accused also have a say. They can issue counter notices and otherwise make a case of their innocence. So we'll see where this leads, but I doubt this is going to change any of those type of counterfeiters that are online as it is now. Okay, a couple of articles written by our fantastic writers over at Geek News Central. One by Alan. Talks about the upcoming Angry Birds Star Wars 2 version. Basically, September 19th is the date that you're going to be able to get your hands on this. So if you've been a big fan of Angry Birds and you like the Star Wars version, Star Wars 2 is short to be on the street and available to you. Again, available on September 19th. Something I haven't been paying attention to now that I have a couple of Android devices, but basically the Amazon App Store offers a free app of the day. And during special occasions, the retail giant frequently offers extra deals. On July 14th, they offered up a whole bunch of apps. Total retail value here was pretty high, about about $40 or so. And Wi-Fi, File Explorer, Documents to Go, Printer Share Mobile, Task and Tools, Splash Top Remote, Space Draw Keys, Splash Top Desktop Remote. All told here, those were all free. And if it's already July 15th where you live, it's too late. But keep your eye out on the app of the day so that you can pick up free apps from Amazon. Of course, the Hulu thing has come to a head. Hulu is not going to be sold. It's no longer for sale. The conglomeration of owners is known as Hulu is once again backed out of the for sale market. And so basically they're going to put some money in it and just continue to move it. They're going to recapitalize it. And that's an interesting move. The owners of Hulu have been adding they're going to add another $750 million into the service. That's huge. $750 million. Is it really that expensive to run that? Holy smokes. 4 million subscribers and 30 million monthly views. 40 million people paying for Hulu. I pay for it. For my wife primarily. Wow. And they're going to invest another $750 million. If you got a Verizon phone and you want to upgrade more often, hey, don't worry. Basically, the Verizon Edge plan will supposedly let Verizon customers upgrade a new phone once they've paid off 50% of their phone, and basically up before your upgrade. Pay to keep paying. And they talk about how it works in a slide that's been presented. So I'm sure this is to compete with the T-Mobile Jump plan, where T-Mobile charges folks $10 a month for the right to upgrade twice a year. So twice a year? That's incredible that they let them upgrade that often. But anyway, link will be up in the show notes on this. And if you have one of those Verizon base stations, security officials have found out that how to hack into the carrier's network extending base stations and basically turn them into little spy centers. So if you've got one of these extenders, they're not very secure. And there's a good article about it. But I'm sure Verizon's going to be working on doing some sort of security patch. But apparently these little portable devices can get in, they can get in, and that's not a good thing. And finally, you guys know I'm not a huge I talked about this on the last show about UAVs and how I thought it was ludicrous that you're going to have a fighter UAV. All right, but there's a pretty entertaining video. Luckily, no one was hurt in this video. But it's a German UAV that crashed into a plane on the Afghan runway. And I'm not talking about taking off. This was just a taxi. And needless to say, the drone pilot, which didn't have very many days on the job, it cost the German government $47 million. And pretty telling video. And they ran this thing into it looks like a C-160 transport airplane. But anyway, a little bit entertaining on that front. But again, the video's up, and this happened back in 2010. But it's just the video. Apparently, it's just been declassified and put online. All right, so let's get into the comments that came into the show. And today is the 15th. Our last show was on Thursday, the 11th. And okay, so I got an email here from MS Small Biz. He said, "Hey Todd, this lends more credence to those that claim Microsoft bought Skype because of a deal with the feds to stop antitrust pursuits. If Microsoft would buy Skype and break its encryption, So it's an article over on Guardian News. We talked a little bit about this on the last show. Got an email from Max. He says, hey, Todd. Hey, sir. It's your pal from New York. I've the Black Pebble watch. I'm loving it. And I have the L-Car's face on it. It's like a Star Trek-like watch face. I've had it for more than a month or so. I believe I got the watch maybe April, a little later after that, since they sent out the black ones before any of the other colors. He said, I love the Pebble. I hardly miss calls as my watch vibrates when I get a message or call. The battery holds a charge for about a week. On whole, it depends how much use you get out of it. So I'm about to try to skin my watch with slick wraps. Shouldn't be surprised at this, but they have a wrap for it already. I have a slight scratch on my watch. It was inventable given my line of work. I kind of don't want to put it on, but we'll see. Anyway, keep up the great work, Todd. Max from New York. But anyway, he's got a Pebble, and if you have a Pebble, you can get a plastic coating for it from the folks at slickwraps.com. Got an email from Paul. He said, hey, Todd, as regards to G+, I think you need to follow me in order for me to be able to see your post. You don't come up as following me. Enjoy your weekend. Paul, you can follow me, and I think I've followed you back. So, apologize if I have to look for you again. Paul also sent some more feedback. Say, Todd, I hope that your tech-free day over the weekend went well. Firstly and all, you enjoyed the break on the subject of your last show about you feeling meh. All I have to say is that his life is constantly going up and down and that you will get out of your funk. I'm intrigued by this whole big mystery surprise thing. Well, Paul, I still have to hold I'm waiting for the company to kind of give us the approval. We'll talk about it soon. A couple of people figured it out already, and I don't know if the cat's out of the bag. I got to kind of look at the public websites a little bit, but it's a good thing. It really is. It's Raw Voice specific. It's not about me. It's about Raw Voice. But we'll tell you as soon as we can. But if I tell you now, I'm going to be shot by my team. But he goes on to say, now on for my points. I'm on T-Mobile myself and always found the quality of signal strength 4G over here to be fantastic, so it must be purely an American problem. I agree with Melvin to a degree, as I've always avoided being photographed, but I concede the point that you're being watched most of the time by some sort of CCTV, which I don't mind at all because I've gotten nothing to hide. In reference to my previous email, when I said about the glassware and shades and a hat looking suspicious, I actually meant them trying not to draw attention to him or herself. Well, that's true. That's what I was trying to do. I've also watched your YouTube glass piece too and was stunned by the quality of the picture. Roll on more reviews. All the best. He says, P.S. How about a monthly competition for the best rant review or competition entry email received in that time? That's a good idea. Also, am I the only person who emails you regularly? I seem to be starting to sound like a stalker, which I'm not, by the way. LOL. And PPPS, perhaps Google Plus button to share on the articles on your website. I've got a G Plus. There is a G. If you go to the individual article and not just the front page, I don't have the G Plus links on the front page, but if you click to the specific article, there is a G Plus button there to share. And no, Paul, you're not a stalker, but everyone goes up and down in cycles and sending emails. Keep them coming. Got an email from Max. He says, hey, Todd, the Solar Impulse touched down last week here in New York City. You have my permission to share with the rest of your HANA if you want. He was actually, dude, were you in the hangar? Oh, that's cool. So I'll get some of his pictures up here. Did they have a public opening for this? Oh, very, very cool pictures. Some are sideways. I'll have to get them out straightened out. We'll put these up. We'll put a few up, Max. Thanks for that. Also got an email from Jeff. He says, hey, Todd, Apple reportedly pitching ad-skipping technology to cable companies. And, of course, we did cover that in the show tonight. But, Jeff, thanks for sending that in. Okay, we're here at the end of the show. About an hour, 9 minutes. Not bad. Don't forget, this is the first time we've been up on this show on YouTube. Hope you've been enjoying. We'll know how many people watch when I close out of here tonight. But definitely want to thank our sponsor, GoDaddy.com. Check out everything over there at GoDaddy. Don't forget to come back to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy for your promo code. And there's a bunch there. Use the one that's best for you to save the most money. And if you're offered a better deal than I can offer you, don't worry. Put my code in anyway because I still get credit for it, okay? So I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening or watching. I want to thank you very much for your time and tell people about the show. Share the information about the show. Tell them that this is the best doggone tech podcast in existence. We want you to spread the word about the show and help us build our audience. Do that social thing for us. Put us out a tweet about us. Put something on Facebook. Put something in Google Plus. Send them our way. Every time you do that, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Hey, until next show, don't forget about the lower third promotion. All right, lower third promotion. We'll have a prize, give some cash away. Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time. And aloha. Okay, shut the YouTube stream down here in just a second. Bring that screen up. They give me a new code every time. It's going to be a pain doing this. So anyone that's been on YouTube, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.